What's up, guys? Welcome to the Line Change. In this video, we are going to continue our goals and expectations series. In this video, we're going to be talking about Jonathan Lekkerimaki and what his goals and expectations are for this upcoming 2025-26 season. Before we do that, as I always do, I want to give a quick shout out and thank you to my sponsor, Gassy Jack Art, maker of that amazing artwork you see there right there. See Green Hughes right there, and you see PD right there. You guys can check them out at gassjackart.com. You can also check him out on Instagram at gassjackart. There is a link to his website in the description down below. So let's go ahead and dive into this article from our friends at Canucks Army, written by Jacob Fraser. And he goes on to say, heading into the 2025-26 season, it seems that Jonathan Lekkerimaki will most likely start in Abbotsford. This may not be where Vancouver Canucks fans had hoped the former 2022 15th overall pick would be at this point in his career, but being just 21 years old, it's still not time to hit the panic button on Lekkerimaki's potential as a future top six winger. Though it's expected that Lekkerimaki will begin the year in the AHL, we can assume he will earn some opportunities to play up in the NHL next year, much like he did last season. The biggest thing to hope for is that he can have a big impact in Abbotsford and play more consistently from game to game. Last season, the young Swede showed flashes of excellence with multiple scoring streaks throughout the year. But like any young player, he had some droughts where he was held pointless for multiple games. Heading into this year, the goal for Lekkerimaki should be to limit the stretches where he struggles to score, and when given the opportunity to play with the big club, show more consistency shift to shift. Playing alongside the likes of Archie Baines, Linus Karlsson, Max Sasson, and Neil Zaman, depending on who makes the Vancouver Canucks, will give Lekkerimaki some great opportunities to play with high-end AHL players and continue his development for another season. When it comes to getting the call-up to Vancouver for himself, getting quality minutes in the team's middle six, and mixing in some power play time here and there would be ideal for his development, continuing to take a step forward before hopefully becoming a full-time NHLer in the near future. So let's take a look at what exceeding expectations would be and what would look like for Jonathan Lekkerimaki. Is it unfair to even discuss the possibility of Lekkerimaki making the team out of camp? Maybe a little. That being said, this would certainly exceed expectations. Now, that's not saying he's going to jump into the NHL and put up nearly a point per game, win the Calder Trophy, and be an impact player in the Canucks' top six, but the chances of Lekkerimaki getting a look in the team's middle six aren't out of the question. If Lekkerimaki can make the opening night roster and keep his spot in the lineup, this would be a good sign of a better season than what was expected, assuming in this case that he's able to play a full season in Vancouver, scoring somewhere between 15 to 20 goals and somewhere around 35 to 40 points would be a very successful first season for the 21-year-old. Playing consistent third-line minutes, being able to jump up into the top six when needed, and potentially earning some power play time would be a great step. It would be another sign of exceeding expectations. Now, let's take a look at what meeting expectations look like for Jonathan Lekkerimaki this upcoming season. Now, a more realistic season for Lekkerimaki would be to start the year in Abbotsford. The expectation currently is that he will do so, but will get some opportunities with Vancouver. It's hard to predict or set an expectation for point totals throughout the stints he may see in the NHL, but based on his 24 games and 6 points last season, the biggest thing to expect would be improvement off those numbers. Assuming he plays around that 24-game mark once again, scoring 6 goals, 1 every 4 games, while adding forces for a nice round number of 10 points would be a fair number to reach for. The biggest thing to expect from Lekkerimaki is being more consistent at the AHL level, producing at a point-per-game level and leading the way in goal scoring on the Abbotsford team. Additionally, having a prominent role on the team's power play would be a very satisfactory season for the Canucks' top forward prospect, showing consistency in the AHL and continuing to show flashes of potential and growth in the big leagues is the key to meeting expectations this season. Now, let's take a look at what below expectations would look like for Jonathan Lekkerimaki. Below expectations would be Lekkerimaki not being able to improve on last season. If he were to struggle at the start of the year in Abbotsford, that would likely diminish his chances of getting called up to the NHL, which wouldn't be ideal for the young prospect who is on the fringe of making the NHL roster. It would be a big surprise if he weren't able to produce at the AHL level, but a good start to the year would be key to gaining confidence for the rest of the season. Overall, a lack of consistent production in Abbotsford would be considered a disappointing year. Lekkerimaki is expected to be among the top scorers on the AHL team, so if he isn't in the mix this season, that would be him falling short of expectations. If you weren't to get many games in the NHL, this could also be a bit of a disappointment. However, he should be one of the first call-ups if injuries to the Vancouver roster occur, as long as his play in Abbotsford is strong. The goal for this year is to impress at the AHL level, and when given his chances in the NHL, make the most of it. So those are the goals and expectations for Jonathan Lekkerimaki in 2025-26. I think these are reasonable expectations. Obviously, exceeding expectations. I would even maybe go one step further and say exceeding expectations would be not only him scoring 20-something goals. What was it? Exceeding? Yeah, between 15 to 20 goals and hovering around the 35 to 40 point mark. I'll take it one step further and say it would be exceeding expectations if he did all that, possibly a little bit more. Maybe instead of 15 to 20 goals, 20 to 25, and maybe 40 to 45 points, maybe even 50 points. I could see exceeding expectations being not only doing that, but also being a top 3 Calder candidate for Rookie of the Year. Him being within the final 3. Obviously, everyone's talking about Ivan Demidov being the number 1 most likely guy to win the Rookie of the Year. But I would say it's exceeding expectations for Lekkerimaki if he were, top 3 in the voting. And, obviously 20 to 25 goals, 40 to 45 points, maybe even 50. So that for me would be exceeding expectations. I do have to agree that the meeting expectations for Lekkerimaki is more realistic. And him, just getting, 10 points would be, and 24 games in the NHL would be good. But obviously, we hope for exceeding expectations for everybody in this series. But once again, these are the goals and expectations for Jonathan Lekkerimaki in 2025-26. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below. What are your goals and expectations for Lekkerimaki heading into this season? Do you also think that he will undoubtedly start in the AHL? Do you think he could make the opening night roster straight out of training camp? Let me know in the comment section down below. And as always, if you guys like this video, be sure to hit that like button. If you want to stay up to date on all your Vancouver Canucks content, be sure to smash that subscribe button and turn on your notifications so you don't miss a single video. You can find us on social media. You can see our social media platforms right there. Find us on Facebook. Just search The Line Change. Find our Facebook page. You can find us on Instagram at The Line Change, on X at Line Change Van, on TikTok at the TLC Podcast. When you can't see on there is Blue Sky. You can find us on Blue Sky at The Line Change. Feel free to give us a follow on Blue Sky as well as all of our other social media platforms. You can, if you prefer an audio version of this podcast, you can find us on both Spotify and Apple Podcast. On Spotify, feel free to give us a follow as well as rate and review us. It is, of course, greatly appreciated and really helps out the podcast. But that's going to do it for me in this video. As always, let's go Canucks, and I'll see you guys in the next video.